I wonder how many of us feel like naturals when it comes to vision casting, right? So we come into this business, we haven't gone down this path before. So it's difficult to speak with a ton of confidence and conviction when, listen, we're hopeful. Like, I'm hoping to get to this place. I'm not exactly sure. Now, enough other people have done it, so why can't I do it? So again, that's kind of the premise of the confidence. But I wasn't a natural when it came to vision casting. And when I got on a roll and things were going well, geez, I can speak with a lot more confidence now. But then when things turn and I lose a couple key members or the dollar per rep is sliding, I felt like I was on shaky ground, like my people are going to lose confidence in me, and my vision casting doesn't sound like it's going to happen because things have turned sour. So I think Adriana from Ontario asks a really good question. I mean, how do you create stability when things are always changing? There's always ebbs and flows in business.
Question, Adriana from
Of course, yes.
So figuring out your next move is always changing because you don't know what you don't know, and you're always going to be D1 at something you start.
Yeah.
How do you create stability for yourself and when you're leading a team for your team when that next move is kind of always changing? You're learning, like even like the new principles doing today.
Well, to me, the long term doesn't change, but so I would always tell people in the beginning stages, I don't care where I move in the United States. I'll go wherever the opportunity goes. And if that's Kentucky, I guess I'm going to Kentucky. I just know where I want to end. And where I want to end happens to be California. Okay. Love the state of California. I don't have to sell you guys on Cali. I mean, California is awesome. This is the best state in the country as far as I'm concerned. So I knew where I wanted to end, but in the short term, I didn't care. Give me a year in Boston. Give me a year in Chicago. Heck, I did a 1.5 year tour of Minnesota. But I didn't sell my house in Cali because I knew I'd come back. So again, the long term is constant. The long term is stable. It's the short term that I'll just roll with the punches in the short term. Oh, I'm on Verizon today. Oh, I'm on Frontier. Oh, I'm on Amazon. I mean, I'll just roll with the punches. Oh, I've got a crew. Oh, I don't have a crew. Again, I'll be fluid, but the long term stays locked and loaded. The long term doesn't change, remains constant. Where do you want to end? But in the short term, I've got to roll with the punches. I've got to be able to handle the ups and downs. I've got to be fluid. If you look up the definition of fluidity, it's the ability to flow easily. So the question is, how do I develop the mindset of fluidity? I mean, fluidity is, again, roll with the punches, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I remember hearing that a long time ago, like change is inevitable. Benjamin Franklin said the only guarantees in life are death and taxes. Everything else, be prepared for change. So how do we develop the mindset of fluidity? The answer, although easy to say, is not so easy to do, and that is to begin with the end in mind. Where do you want to end up? If you start there, where do you want to end? Then you can work your way backwards. And I always like bringing up this study, okay? Dr. Edward Banfield. If you get a chance to Google it, Dr. Edward Banfield, Harvard, okay? So I'm going to read this to you. Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard, after more than 50 years, multi-generational study here, after 50 years of research, concluded that long-term perspective is the most accurate single predictor of upward social and economic mobility in America. Wow, long-term perspective. Long-term perspective turns out to be more important than family background, education, where you went to school, race, intelligence, connections, or virtually any other single factor in determining your success in life and at work. I mean, so think about it. You got to bet on 2 kids. Okay, who's going to go on to be successful in the United States? Person A has long-term perspective. Person A is thinking about the future and where they want to end up, but maybe born on the wrong side of the track, so to speak. Then the other kid's got all the wealth and education and the family support and everything, but just totally lacks the long-term perspective, is really living for the moment, living for the now. Well, Dr. Edward Banfield would say, well, bet on person A. That long-term perspective is the most accurate single predictor. So if long-term perspective is so important, and I don't think many people are going to argue with that, the question is, can you ask yourself the question, where do I want to be when I'm 60? Now, I'm willing to bet most of you would be like, when I'm 60, gee, that's old. Isn't that 1 foot in the grave? Well, I don't think so, but I know 60 can seem like a very far ways away. How about 50? Can you see where you want to end up when you're 50? Well, even that's a little fuzzy, Jamie. I'm too young. I mean, 50 is, an eternity away. Trust me, it'll catch up. How about 40? Okay, I can see where I'm going to be in 40. That's only 15 years from now or 17 years from now. A lot of young people are probably thinking. How about 30? If 40 is too far, can you think of 30? I think everybody can say, yeah, I know where I want to be when I'm 30. So figure out that point, okay? Whatever long-term perspective is for you, I think it's fine if everybody has a different answer of what exactly is long-term perspective. Just pick a number. The point is to pick that number, picture what you want your life to look like, and work backwards. And the question we should all ask ourselves, is what I'm doing today aligned with where I want to be when I'm blank? 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever it is what I'm doing today aligned with that? If it's not, if what I'm doing today is not aligned with where I want to go, then something needs to change today. When you do that, the short term becomes less important. You have less FOMO going on. Now, I'm a big fan of living in the moment and being present. I don't want to live in the future. I want to live in the present. But the present has to be connected to the future. Otherwise, if it's not connected, if you're not following a path to the future, living in the now, you could work really hard and just get to the wrong place faster. So I hope that helps. I hope we have less anxiety as we go through the ebbs and flows in business. And again, roll with the punches. Keep that long-term perspective constant. That is your focus. And I really hope this helps. Great question, Adriana.